Hello, my name is Anouk, joined by Aryan, Ali, and Adriano. Today, we will present a design process of a power plant that is designed to supply energy to a remote community. From day one of human civilization, energy was and is the most important aspect of our growth. If humans never made the use of fire, we would still be primates. In the current world, energy is vastly abundant. However, people who live off-grid may not get the energy they need for their homes and businesses. To solve this issue at hand, we, as a group, have researched and designed concepts to enable these communities to be supplied with both electricity and heating. As you can see from the pie chart, sourced from the Canada Energy Regulator, the energy distribution is vastly made by hydroenergy, followed by nuclear energy, natural gas, coal and coke, and lastly, biofuel. I will now hand over the mic to Aryan to discuss the objectives of this project.
Hello. So the objectives of this project was to ultimately design a power plant that will efficiently provide heat and electricity to a community in Canada. This power plant utilizes a vapor power cycle with water as its working fluid. And this power cycle is based on a Rankine cycle, which contains at least the following principal components: one boiler, one turbine, one condenser, one open feed water heater, two closed feed water heaters, and one pump. Along with this, our cycle must also have an electricity output of at least 30 megawatts, as well as a thermal output of 15 megawatts to provide heat for the community. Now I'll be passing the floor to Ali.
All right. All right. So at the initial stages of this project, we identified two possible renewable energy sources we could use. The first being solar power, and the other being biofuel power. So for solar power, it's pretty much just solar panels and uses the energy from the sun to convert to electricity and power the boiler and the turbines. The other source, renewable source, is biofuel. It's pretty much just using the organic waste produced by farming and feeding it to a combustion chamber and convert it to electricity that also powers the boiler and turbine. We identified that if we combine solar power and biofuel, it's going to add additional heating for maximum efficiency. All right, so in figures 4, you see an example of a solar panel array farm. And also in figure 5, you see an example of organic waste produced by farming, which consequently is going to be used in the combustion chamber that produces power, sorry. So I'll now be passing it to Adriano.
Hi everyone, my name is Adriano, and I'm here to tell you guys about concepts 1 and 2. So for concepts 1, we decided to go with a combination of solar energy and biofuel. So you can see that we have our biofuel storage tank, so we harvest the biofuel and store it in a tank before it is combusted and sent to the boiler. For our solar energy, it is harvested from the sun, most likely using solar panels, and then sent to the boiler as well. In this 11-phase process is thoroughly examined in our report. Now for our outputs of cycle 1, we have an efficiency of 39%. A mass flow rate of 30.245 kilograms per second, a work of 991.871 kilojoules per kilogram, and an extreme cost of 6,843,900 Canadian dollars. This was terribly expensive, and as a result, we had to make some changes. That leads me into concept number 2. In our figure, you can see that our solar energy is now cut out of the equation. This is because solar panels are very expensive to make. So as a result, we led to just biofuel as our source of power. The cycle, however, remains mostly the same, with no changes being made in the actual cycle itself. The outputs in this case, as a result, are still a 39% efficiency, the same mass flow rate, the same work done. However, an extreme cut in budget was made. 2,443,900 Canadian dollars is now the cost. Much more efficient for the price. I'll now hand the mic over to Aryan so he can talk about concept number 3.
So as we can see here, concept number 3 is actually our final refined ultimate concept. So as you can see here, the main power source is actually biofuel. And we can see in this 15 state process here, we have a couple changes to our cycle. So the first changes we made to refine it was the additional 2 pumps after the closed and open feed water heaters. Along with this, instead of having our steam traps being fed back into the open feed water heater, we actually wrapped both coming out of our closed feed water heaters back into the condenser to actually maximize our efficiency. So a couple of outputs after doing meticulous calculations for concept 3, we came out to an improved efficiency of 41%, a mass flow rate of 31.7 kilograms per second, a work of the cycle being 904.56 kilojoules per kilogram, and a cost slightly above concept number 2 at 2.451 million Canadian dollars. So we can see a gradual little increase in our cost, but this actually it kind of works as we can see our efficiency increases, although the price is a little bit higher. The trade-off for our efficiency is actually something that is sought after for our project. Therefore, adding these pumps did change our cost a little bit, but the trade-off is much better as our efficiency is increased. Moving on here to figure 8, we can see the TS diagram that is generated from our final concept for our 15-state process for our cycle. Now I'm going to be moving on to Adriano. That's going to talk about the CO2 emissions and the reductions.
Hello again, everyone. So now I'll be talking about the reduction of carbon dioxide emissions. So for concept number 1, it was studied that our solar panels reduced emissions by roughly 41%, which is pretty good. After doing some research on biofuel, it is found that it is carbon neutral. This is because biofuel takes the same amount of carbon dioxide to harvest it than it releases into the system. Hence, no further carbon dioxide is released into the environment. So overall, concept 1 has a much less CO2 production than most systems and is reduced by about 41%. For concept 2 and 3, however, because we remove solar panels, we only have biofuel as a source of power. Because this is carbon neutral, little to no extra carbon dioxide is produced into the atmosphere. Hence, the efficiency of our system in terms of CO2 production is very good. I'll now hand the mic off over to Ali for the conclusion.
All right, so for the conclusion, we had our final concept is concept number 3, which is the biofuel power plant. We chose that concept because number 1, it eliminates carbon emissions, as Adriano mentioned, and also the cheapest and the most efficient renewable energy, as Ariane also mentioned. So does it actually satisfy our goals for this project? Well, actually it does. So for number 1, it's possible to operate this setup at a remote location, for example, a small town or a village. Number 2, it produces the required power for this project, which is 30 megawatts. Number 3, it heats the community or any given location from 80 degrees to 120 degrees with a thermal power demand of being 15 megawatts. It also maximizes efficiency and minimizes the greenhouse gases because it's carbon neutral. And finally, it's based on a non-ideal Rankine cycle, which concludes our goals for this project. Now I will pass it back to Anouk to wrap things up.
Hi there. So these are the references we used for our images and research found on these slides. Thank you for listening.